So, can I help you? It is you who would help me? Is my anxiety truly so obvious? A burden shared is a burden eased. Pray, tell us of thy troubles. Those little fellows do look like good listeners. I am an engineer, you see, and what they say of the ship, that it's the sum of decades of Sharlayan ingenuity, and it's built with peerless, elegant technology, is all true, but... I know that none of that's a guarantee. We've never before launched a star-faring vessel, let alone flown it in great expanse. All the tests we've run have been on the ground. Only operational personnel and cargo will be aboard for the first voyage, but even so, if it fails us, then what can we do? And if it doesn't, it could fall apart on the next flight, or the one after that. We've done everything we can to prevent that from happening, but it hardly matters. We thought the ether burner's design was flawless too, and look how that turned out. Thou art familiar with these most daunting technologies, and thus dost thou hold the power to allay his fears. Oh, I'm not sure about that, but well... Maybe you could tell me if there are any aspects of the ship's design that you're especially worried about? Our ability to walk about and perform our tasks for one. I've devised a means by which to employ gravity, a spatio-temporal spell to regulate the environment. But what if it's not strong enough? What if everyone floats away and begins crashing into things as soon as we've left the star? Ah, gravitation. Maybe I can be of help after all. Up there is not so different from down here, you see. The same rules apply, and if you consider them as a part of one great big cosmos rather than separate places... I suspect both parties shall find comfort in this conversation. Yet, if Thancred's tale be true, still others would benefit from insights born of experience. Might I prevail upon the Loporits to attend them? An excellent idea, if I do say so myself. There is naught we'd like more than to ease the hearts of the fine people of Aetherius, and learn more about them while we're at it. Full glad am I to hear it. Gather thy companions and bring them hither. Mana, thou hast a gift for finding souls in need of succor. Pray seek thee out the distressed and the apprehensive, and inform them that help is at hand. I shall await them here, that I might introduce each to a suitable Loporit. Oh, I do so look forward to that. A place for every Loporit, and every Loporit in their place.
Have you heard anything of what's on the moon? I have no doubt that we can make it up there, but the searching for a new star part of the plan sounds awfully vague to me. I asked the forum, but they will only tell us that our collaborators have everything under control. Forgive me, but I don't feel particularly safe wandering through the sea of stars on gods know what, made by gods know who. You mean to say that I can speak with them directly? Amazing! I hope they like questions. I think we're gonna... take this arc to wherever the hell Meteorian, or whatever her name is. Gonna take this arc wherever the hell she is, and take the battle there. Which has me a little about where this story is going. Because, because it's the end of 8 years of story, 10, 11 years of story. I was kind of hoping the final boss would be an overarching villain for the whole story. I've known Meteorian, or whatever her name is, for 2 levels. And now they're setting her up to be like the final boss. Though, to be fair, It's very Final Fantasy to have the final boss be something out of nowhere. That's a very Final Fantasy thing to do. But I was hoping Xenos would do something interesting. Xenos... The only thing Xenos has done in this expansion was take my body, and then he didn't get to do anything with it except be scary, but he didn't hurt anyone, and all the bad shit that's been happening was Van Daniel's doing. So it's like, why is Xenos even here? And I still don't know if we're done with Xenos or not. Theoretically, there's two bosses left. 2 dungeons, 2 bosses. One of them's gonna be Meteorian, or whatever her name is. I mean, my best guess for the other one would be Heidelin, right? But I don't know. I don't know how Xenos fits in this. I don't know if Xenos is gonna do anything at all. Xenos... I'm just... yeah. Just leave me to my misery. The forum can appoint someone else. I apologize. I simply don't know what to do. How am I supposed to pilot the Ark if I'm already falling apart under the pressure? You know, a starship pilot that I might speak with, truly. Well then, there's no time to waste. They cannot be prepared for this monumental task. Here's what's gonna happen. The next dungeon will be another ethereal sea. We'll talk to Heidelin, and instead of using the Ark to go to the moon, we're gonna use the Ark to go to wherever the hell Meteorian is. And that's where we'll have the final showdown. Consult our collaborators. I suppose I would be more effective than sitting here brooding. I'm attempting to calculate how much cargo we can consolidate into fewer trips should the Etherburner make our original estimates unfeasible, but there are simply too many variables. I feel as if my brow will turn inside out. But perhaps our lunar associates will have more insight into how much weight constitutes too much weight for our purposes. Thank you for letting me know. Something else that's really bothering me is Vana. Vana's inaction doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Something, fate, let fate run its course. But Vana knew so much about what was going to happen. She knew Hythlodaeus was going to sacrifice himself for Zodiark. She knew that Emmett was going to suffer for thousands of years in solitude, and she did nothing for it. Like, she just let it happen. She didn't try to help Hythlodaeus or Emmett. She thought, yeah, we should just let Hermes become Van Daniel. That sounds like a great idea. For his test of humanity or whatever, to see if humanity's worth saving or whatever. It's just... that's my big issue with time travel plots like this. Like, compare Graha to Vana. Graha went back in time to try to avert an awful fate. And it worked. So that's great. We went back in time and told Vana of an awful fate. She does nothing to try to avert it. She just lets fate run its course. And that bothers me. But, I mean, I don't like that... I don't like that we went back in time in the first place. I did like that we got to go back there and see stuff. But the fact that we got to interact with any major characters at all, I think is bad. I would have liked it if we could visit there without being, either without interacting with the major characters, or if we were in our intangible form, like at the start, which is I thought it was gonna go. Just Getting more characterization for Hythlodeus is certainly nice. Interacting with Emmett at all is very heavy-handed. So, interacting with Emmett is a bit much. And a bit cruel, considering his fate. And I think it takes away a bit from his character. Like, oh, we told Emmett what would happen, and he fell to his fate anyway. It bothers me. That's something I don't like about time travel plots. Like, I think it was fine in Shadowbringers, but in Endwalker it's bad. There we go. There's my opinion. My face? What's wrong with my... Ow, perhaps I'm a bit tense. I was tasked with ensuring that the proper fauna, and only the proper fauna, are brought with us to the moon. However, the suitability of a few species is still under debate, and I can hardly make the decision myself when I know so little about the environment up there. Including the Loperids in our discussion is a wonderful idea. I absolutely will. Thank you. Perhaps their biology itself might offer some clue as well. Yes you idiot. Have you seen an envelope lying about? This imbecile refuses to give me the chemic I ordered without that bloody slip of parchment. Unless your friends have a spell to make you remember where I dropped my damned envelope, I doubt there'll be more help than you. And you've wasted enough of my time already. It would be unfortunate for all involved to inflict this man upon the Loperids. 56 bunches of weeds on the ground, 56 bunches of weed, rip one out and add to the mound, 55 bunches of weeds in the... pal, I'm not neglecting my duties, I swear. I was in need of a little break, you see, but then I found myself unable to relax at all, so I went on a walk, and then I noticed these weeds, and... Pleasant conversation, partners, and oh so fuzzy. Goodness me, that does sound like a much better way to relax. By the gods, my chest is tight. Am I dying? Is this what dying feels like? Oh, do pardon me, I didn't see you there. There is no cause for concern, I assure you. No cause for concern, even though we may need to depart at any moment. And if the hole I designed buckles under the strain, the entire vessel may explode on launch, claiming countless lives and dooming all mankind. But that is very unlikely. Yes, highly unlikely. Highly. Our visitors can help me triple check for structural flaws, you say? Why, that would be wonderful. I'm breathing more easily already. Ah ha ha ha! The end of the world is nigh, yet the work goes no faster. Schedules are such temperamental things, feasible one moment, utter bollocks the next. And yet, I've never felt so alive. This one is beyond your help. Only sleep can save her now. That's me. What am I thinking about? The medical facilities on the ship, of course. I designed them with the assistance of our sages and Shurigans, but to imagine every illness or injury that one might face in that great expanse is beyond any of us, to say nothing of the effects that living out there indefinitely might have on the body. The crew from the moon? Why did I not think of that? I don't really think this moon ship is as great as people think it's gonna be, because the whole problem is that lack of ether is making the emotion magic too strong. And there isn't gonna be ether in space, so why do they think that's gonna be better? Blasted assistants, where have they gone off to at a time like this? Beg pardon, but I have not the time for idle chit-chat. I need to reconfirm that ether levels are consistent throughout the vessel's machinery, and it seems I shall have to do so single-handedly. I swear when I find those assistants of mine. The Loperids are willing to help. Why didn't you say so? At least they won't moan about how they checked 2 dozen times already and haven't slept in weeks, lazy sods.
Mana, he said
He said he was glad we spoke, and he thanked me. It was all worth it after all, wasn't it? Even the mistakes we made, because now we can tell them what not to do. Behold, Nana. Through thine efforts, word hath spread throughout Labyrinthos. Verily, to a far greater number than we anticipated, Living Way doth gather more Loporits as we speak. I shall assign each in accordance with their skills, that new bonds of friendship might be forged. Should greater matters require not thine attentions, watch over them, I prithee.
So much in forever.
Lively, isn't it? The town is abuzz. Everyone eager to meet with our friends from the moon.
Twould behoove you to consult with Sleeping Way. As our moon's pilot, his advice should be most pertinent.
I'm impressed. Truth be told, I struggle to tell one from another. No offense intended, of course.
None taken. After you and your friends left Mare Elementorum, we spent no small amount of time with your Urianger. Oh, the conversations we had. He told us all about Aetheris, answered our every question, no matter how trifling or trivial. Look! Every page filled to the margins with knowledge. When I first arrived, I was struck by how little I knew. It was daunting. But then I realized that, were it not for Urianger and his teachings, we'd still be stuck on the moon, gazing at your world and wondering what we've been missing.
What would they think if they could see Urianger now? I dare say they'd be more than a bit surprised. And impressed, no doubt. Master Louisoix, Minfilia, Papalimo, and not to forget.
Oh there. Heard there was a visiting expert who we might bother with a few questions. I take it you'd be the one.
Uh-oh. That is Moonbreeda's mom and dad. Oh boy.
Yes, I am.
Vilson and Blovida, Sharlayan's foremost researchers in the field of teleportation magic, and Moonbreeder's parents.
It hath been some time. 'Tis good to see you in good health.
Likewise, old friend. Blovida and I were most honored to answer the call. Never expected this reunion, though, did we, dear?
Arthur, the nerve. Sending that letter, then running off to the gods know where. Do you have any idea how worried we were?
I'm sorry. 'Twas remiss of me not to deliver the news in person. No, more than that. 'Twas I who...
Our daughter was disillusioned after Master Louisoix left her behind. The day the Scions called upon her was the happiest I'd seen her in years. She made her every choice of her own free will. No one could have ever forced her to do otherwise. Don't blame yourself for her death. Celebrate her life. You know that's what she'd want.
If there is one thing we resent you for, it was that we could not be there to mourn her with you. Reading the words you penned in that shaky hand, we must have cried as much for you as we did for her.
I'm sorry. I truly, truly am. I knew not what to say. Knew not how to express my feelings. The poems and platitudes of wiser men, musings on sadness and loss, studied and memorized, and meaningless in the moment.
Silly boy. We are all powerless before such grief. Even now, try as I might, the words escape me. But in our hearts, we know, we always know.
I remember when you were young, how the lads teased you for choosing the company of books over others. Our moon didn't take kindly to that. Be nice to Urianger, she'd shout, and give them a walloping. No matter how many times we scolded her.
So we offered a suggestion. Rather than starting fights, why don't you be the bridge between Urianger and the others? She had to mull it over for a while. Arms crossed, brow furrowed in intense thought. But from that day on, she never let you be alone. She'd drag you outside to play, pepper you with endless questions, read the same books you read, all to try and understand you that much better. I'm sure it was annoying and exhausting at the time, but she only ever had the best of intentions.
And look at you now, at the center of the crowd. The reason there even is a crowd, having brought these people together. You've no idea how proud we are.
To see the boy, our daughter, trusted and believed in more than anyone, grow into the man she always knew he could be. I can see her in you too. Feel her. She walks with you wheresoever you go. So thank you, Urianger, for being who you are.
I think I can feel her too. The truth of her life. Not sorrow, but hope and love.
This moon breeder. She was important to him, wasn't she?
You could ask the man himself.
Oh, no. But watching this exchange reminds me how much I've yet to learn about your world. And its people.
You can live here your entire life and hardly learn a thing. And that's why it's too soon for this to end.
got me. That got me. Wow, that got me. Remind me to invite Urianger for a drink when we have a moment to breathe. We're long overdue for one. We can raise a glass to Mimbrita. I assure you that my fellow Loperites are equally excited to have this opportunity. They were humming the whole way here. I was so busy asking questions about Aetherius that I never thought to ask more about Urianger. I'd like to, but where would I begin? Goodness me, I've never felt like there was too little time before. There are so many people to talk to, so many things to learn. We spent so long gazing at this star, wondering and hoping, but to be here now and walk among the people, to be a part of their lives and know we've made a difference, it's so much more than I've ever dreamed. Oh, you must be one of the Scions, correct? Thank you for caring for my daughter. The time she spent with you all was too short, but I know she was proud to have you as comrades. Urianger too, I'm sure, and I certainly feel better for knowing he has good friends to look after him. See that he comes home from time to time, will you? The classical Rogadan language isn't so different from Eorzean. Did you ever wonder why we named our daughter Moon's Bride? When I first held her, the moon was shining silver and full. The whole world seemed to glow. I knew it had chosen her, that she would be a beacon of the self-same light. Of course, we'd later hear our fair share of jokes about how we ought to have gone for Sun instead, with how bright and stubborn she was. But fiery as Mimbrita was, she was always kind and gentle. Oh, Mana, be assured that I am fine. I am full glad to see them too, after so very long. Gladder still that it was in your company. As difficult as it was to accept their kindness, 'twould have been far harder had I faced them alone. Ahem. Thou hast my gratitude for lending courage to the Loperites. Not disposed to rest on their laurels, several of our guests have elected to accompany my countrymen to their stations. Some few may still come hither seeking counsel, and so shall I remain to aid them as need be. If thou art needed elsewhere, do not let me detain thee. As a matter of fact, I was hoping you might check on Alice. Last I saw, she was struggling to carry an enormous pile of boxes out the west gate. I could go myself, but we both know whose help she's less like to scorn. Not to mention that, much to my misfortune, I could think of several other things I ought to be doing. Until later. Pray assist Mistress Alice. She hath taken up too great a burden, like as not. Livingway and I shall attend to matters here. Is that an A rank? No, it's a B rank. Ooh. Ooh. Hey, what are you doing? Mana, what are you doing out here? No, I don't mind if you help with the boxes, but it's far from the most exciting of tasks, are you sure? Well, I appreciate the assistance. We need to get these to Aporia. Time is short, of course, but they're full of organic specimens and samples, so try not to be too rough with them. Alphino should be waiting for us when we arrive. I'll see you there. I can't shake the feeling that there are more of these than when I started. Did I pick up an additional crate somewhere? Oh, you're helping with the crates. Wonderful. You can put that there with the others. You have my gratitude, but how did you come to be involved in this? Ha, then I suppose I have Thancred to thank as well. If you're wondering why we're tasked with bringing these boxes to Aporia to begin with, so was I. It turns out this is a base of operations of sorts. Those with final say as to what is included in the ship's manifest can be found here. Father included, I suspect.
that should be everything. You carried all of that at once? Are you trying to injure yourself? Oh, hush. They're lighter than they look, and not everyone has your delicate arms. I suppose we should let someone know that we've finished. Theo Paulden is in the courtyard. We can report to him. Why don't you come along? You should get credit for your assistance, at least. Considering where we are, we might even learn something interesting. This must be Theo Paulden. I keep thinking that I've seen him elsewhere, but I cannot for the life of me remember where. Really? Let me look. I don't know. Gods, it never ends, does it? What can I do for you? We brought samples from Sharlayan Hamlet, Series 110. The crates are by the entrance. Ah, thank you. I'd expected one of my colleagues, but we are dreadfully short-handed. Just a moment. You are Fortunate's children, are you not? Alphino and Alice, at your service. You're well acquainted with Father, I take it? Quite. I've been friends with your parents since our days at the studium. I remember when you were yay-high, waddling hither and thither. Clearly, it's been quite some time since we've met. 'Tis good to see you again, wielding your father's duelists, no less. You knew our parents when they were young. What were they like? Pray, spare no detail. I should like nothing more than to regale you, but alas, I am meant to be in charge here, and reams of paperwork want for submission. We can help with that, in exchange for the sort of stories our parents would never willingly divulge, of course. Very well then. There happen to be 3 sets of documents in need of delivery, so how about you each take one? Wait, right there. You will find a forum representative waiting to collect these near the southernmost structure. I hope I haven't kept her waiting too long. Never mind Alphino and Alice. I'm certain they will be back soon enough. Are you not one of the scions of the 7th Dawn? I thought you were meant to be working on the ether burner. Theo Paulden's paperwork. I was beginning to worry he had misplaced his quill. I appreciate your help in seeing these documents to my hands at last. As for your other task, pray keep this between us, but I sincerely hope you scions succeed. The Exodus is, without a doubt, the most monumental undertaking in the history of the Forum, and so we must be circumspect in all respects. Risk is a privilege we cannot afford ourselves. At its heart, however, Sharlayan has ever been a nation of the curious. It would be a tragedy indeed if we were the ones to stymie your pursuit of the truth. Quick and efficient. I dare say you have a talent for this work. The twins' papers only needed to be delivered to elsewhere in the facility, so they should be returning any moment. We return, with not a scrap of paperwork remaining on our persons, you will note. You both have my thanks, and my apologies for sending you on an errand far below your ambitions. Why, even as a babe you struggled out of your swaddling clothes and... That is quite enough of that, thank you. It was compromising stories of our parents we'd asked to hear, to reiterate. Of course. I've known your father for so long, I must have something. Well, as you know, part of why the Levier name garners such respect in Sharlayan is your family's storied history. You two can trace your ancestry directly to those who came aboard Nyunkep's Hope, a lineage few can claim. I'd never thought much of it myself. It's not as though our forebears founded our nation. They were simply there when it happened. Nevertheless, it has traditionally been a point of pride. 'Tis why Nyunkep's pronouncement, renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason, has ever been our family's creed. Until your grandfather's time, aye. Archon Louis Sois looked not to Nyunkep's words, but his deeds. He asserted, in defiance of his peers, that choosing to save the great and the small from the rising tides was the true mark of our founder's virtue. Perhaps it was his expertise, his knowledge of ancient prophecy and the fall of civilizations, that led him to conclude that to eschew conflict at every turn was to consign mankind to his doom. There will ever be conflict and calamity will follow. Thus, to ignore the plight of those one might conceivably save is not wisdom, it is indolence. You remember his words well. Indeed, Archon Louisoix lived by that personal creed and used every means at his disposal to bring succor to those in need, Sharlayan or no. No one loved and admired your grandfather more than his son. Yet Fortunato cannot reconcile Louisoix's deeds with the philosophy of their forebears and his peers, a philosophy in which he believed so fervently, yet made a pariah of his father. Fortunato agonized over this contradiction for much of his life. God's father? A son may carry his father's blood, but his choices are his own to bear. Is it not always thus? God knows Fortunate's a cranky old goat, so I'm sure you butt heads often enough. Yet even so, you must know you are constantly in his thoughts, every moment of every day, and that is not an exaggeration in the slightest. You should have seen him when you were born. Barely recognizable he was, with a kind of dumbfounded grin I'd not seen since he first took a fancy to your mother. He was practically skipping when he told me the news. Take my words for it, he loves you to an embarrassing degree. But he is also frustratingly single-minded. Once he's decided that a given action is for the best, he will stay the course no matter who or what opposes him. A profoundly annoying habit when you're on the other end of it, as I'm sure you will agree. I'll say. Thank you for your insight. When next we meet our parents, I shall mention that we spoke. Try not to get me in too much trouble now. I need the forum on my side. Speaking of which, I ought to be getting back to work. I have to make sure those specimens you brought make it to their proper places, or the cranky old goat will have my hide. We can speak again later. Hail, you three. Oh! Graha! Surely Kakol hasn't driven you out of the forge already. For better or worse, no. However, he has set me a task that requires more than my single pair of hands, and here you are. I could use at least one of you, but I won't object to more. Unfortunately, Alice and I have prior commitments, and we have delayed too long as it is. What about you, Mana? Can you spare the time? Oh, it's very nice of them giving me some alone time with Grahatia. Perfect. This shouldn't take long. How sweet are the twins. They get me. Much as I'd like to press Theopaldin for more revealing tidbits, we should be getting back to our tasks. 'Tis strange to hear Father spoken of in such a way, but I suppose he would find your view of me no less odd. In the event that our, and I quote, promised heap of adamantite falls right out of the bloody sky and into my lap, Master Kakol wishes to be ready to put the proverbial hammer to the anvil at a moment's notice. To fabricate these parts, however, he needs the flames in Kakol's forge to burn hotter. He sent me to increase the amount of ether being funneled into his furnaces. The flow of fire-aspected ether in Labyrinthos is regulated by an elemental reactor south of here, to which I have borrowed the key. The adjustment will require 2 people to carry out safely, but I can explain the process when we arrive. This is where we part then. We'll see you in Sharlayan Hamlet once the adamantite arrives, if not before. This way then.
Grahatia! The reactor is housed within this facility. I'll be the one to go inside and adjust the fire ether output. When I do, a rather large amount of water-aspected ether will issue from the vent at the top. I expect this to attract at least a few elementals, which we would both rather not be drawn to the reactor itself, trust me. Can I ask that you put down any that draw too near? They'll pose you little trouble, I'm sure. Wait here, if you would. Did everything go smoothly out here? I thought as much. No major complications to speak of inside either. And the water ether appears to be venting properly. I expect Kukal will have seen a difference in his forge flames by the time I return. Since I have you, there was another matter I thought to discuss with you. Nothing terribly important, merely something I've been considering. You see, I have this ring in my pocket here. Part of this I shared with everyone, yet you, and only you, have been to Elpis. As we have established, refined adamantite is a product of Alag, of the Empire's twilight years in fact. It was a material which saw much use as part of the Allagan's effort to extend beyond the bounds of this world, Dalamud, of course, being the most prominent. Of those who would push further, expand Allag's empire to encompass the heavens and the stars above, perhaps the greatest was its infamous technologist, Amon. I believe he had his own reasons. There is no evidence to suggest that he retained memories of his former life. He only joined the Asians once the Empire was all but dust, as you know. If not his memory, though, what drove him to pursue the idea with such fervor? This may seem far-fetched, but what if souls, like minds, have a personality, so to speak, a natural disposition towards which they are inclined? We know with relative certainty that it was the gross decadence and inexorable decline of Alag that moved Amon to resurrect Emperor Zonde. The Empire's people spoke lightly of death and destruction, experimenting on those they deemed beneath them to fill the emptiness in their hearts. In facilitating Zonde's return, Amon provided these languid soils with the means to free themselves from the mire of their own indolence. Or would have, had not Zonde been convinced by his own death that life itself was meaningless. Amon's desire for his countrymen to conquer the heavens could only be a means to the same end, to instill the people with a new purpose. Like Hermes before him, Amon was appalled by how those around him lived, but he could never bring himself to believe that those lives were devoid of meaning. And both of them sought that meaning, that hope, in the distant stars. Such is my theory, anyway. Ultimately, it is the consequences of their actions which matter. Their motives are of no moment, and yet... To reach those stars on wings of adamantite, to travel to the ends of creation and beyond, the promise of hope everlasting, that much I do understand. But enough musing for now. Why don't we see how Kukol is getting on? I did thoroughly brief Kukol on refined adamantite's history. I only volunteered to go to the reactor because I was finished and there was little else to do. Hopefully that dispels any misapprehensions that I was kicked out for prattling on. Woo! I can feel those flames ablazing from here. I'm glad you found someone capable, Graha, but there's not much left for you lot to do. Unless you can conjure up that refined adamantite any faster. Well, speak of the devil! I do trust you to deliver on your promise, I do, only... I hate waiting! I want that adamantite and I want it now! We, share your impatience, I assure you. Is there truly nothing else we can assist with in the meantime? I wish. This sitting about's unbearable. Pity the Forum frowns on recreational explosions. Well, so long as they can't prove it was premeditated, and get you gone, I've got mistakes to make. In that case, I suppose I should go and return the key to the reactor. I'll have one more look to make sure that nothing has gone wrong, unintentionally or otherwise. I'm certain there are better uses of your time, however. I will join you in the Sharlayan hamlet anon. Any smoke rising from the building behind me will be entirely unrelated to what I didn't say. Got it? If you wait here, your companions are bound to turn up sooner or later.
All set, I take it?
We finished what we could. Delivered supplies, tracked down escaped animals. Trivial tasks as they may be.
That's enough, don't you think? If there was anything more important still undone, that would be a problem in itself.
The vessel is essentially ready for departure. All that remains is to load the final batch of supplies and see everyone on board. Once we've readied the ether burner, that is.
Ah, had a feeling we might find you all here.
Our consultations with the Loperites, too, have run their course. Pleased I am to say that our researchers' concerns have for the most part been allayed, though some insist on making adjustments to the very end. For their part, Livingway and her peers have graciously offered to stay and keep the people company, lest any lingering queries go unanswered.
All that remains is to wait for the refined adamantite.
Alphino, are you there? It's me, Cryo. Your special delivery has arrived. Round up everyone and come to the harbor at once.
Speak of the devil. Let us go at once.
Forgive the intrusion, Master Fortuner. I bring urgent news. A great commotion has broken out in Scholar's Harbor. Your presence is requested, with all speed.
Now, where might this delivery be? Oh.
I'm sure it's very important, but we cannot accept these without the proper permits.
By the 12! Surely, these can't all be...
Oh, even them! Wow! Wow!
Bleeding hellfire! They're bringing them by sea and by air. All these folks in these crates.
And more on the way. Got your adamantite right here. A bigger haul than any of these sorry bastards brought, and that's no lie.
Yes, because you were charged with seeing the shipments from Gridania and Uldar here, along with your own. Give credit where credit is due.
Sounds like the sorry whinging of a sore loser. And a hypocrite to boot. Ain't no way a scrawny whelp like you took a dozen steps inside a Dalaman shard.
I'll have you know I went all the way to the entrance. Furthermore, 'twas my contacts that enabled us to enlist the cooperation of the Sky Pirates.
Left you outside so you wouldn't get anyone killed, did they? Well then, credit where credit's due, you did a right fine job sitting on your ass.
Take that back.
Make me.
I will not stoop to your level.
My, what a grand welcome party.
God, everyone is here.
Hancock and Saraban. We come bearing relics both sacred and elegant, as well as a few other gifts that may be of help, to be presented with best wishes from the Eastern Alliance. Our friends in Bosnia, for instance, have sent along a few artifacts for the brave allies of the Resistance. That's you. And we brought a number of items from Eureka as well, courtesy of one Ejika Sunjika. He says a little advance warning would have been appreciated, by the by.
I myself have come with a sacred relic of Racen Temple. 'Twas passing fortunate that Senri's dango craving brought us to Kugane. We arrived precisely as Hancock was making his arrangements. Upon learning of your need, we made haste back to Hell's Lid, with our dango, never fear, and consulted with the other auspices. All consented to the lending of Tenzin's legendary Phoenix Blade for this noble cause. Suzaku and Seiryu were nevertheless worried that it might be lost in transit, however, and insisted upon accompanying me to Onokoro, where I had intended to entrust it to our Confederate allies. I thought instead to give it over to Hancock when we chanced to cross paths yet again. But alas, Seiryu remained ill at ease, and ordered me see the blade into your hands personally, or die trying.
We did, of course, need quite the impressive vessel to get it all here in time. Fortunately, our majestic associates have been more than helpful. 'Tis an honor to join the Warrior of Light on another adventure, they tell me.
Literally everyone is here.
That is all wonderful to hear, but what of the extraordinary cost? I shudder to think of the ransom we must pay for such a bounty.
Fret not for your coin purse, young Alphino. Lord Lolorito looks ever towards the profits of the future, and thus the East Aldenard Trading Company went to some lengths to reduce the financial liability. And since the Scions funded the entire venture, not a gill need be rendered up in compensation. Everything is already yours.
We funded the venture? When?
Don't let the name fool you. This coin keeper knows a thing or two about spending. When it comes to capital investiture, a sprinkling of gil here and there will not do. You need enough savings to make waves when it really counts, which is why frugality is paramount. We also have the benefit of a generous patron. Generous being rather an understatement. She has supported us from the shadows since the very founding of the Scions. We even had coffers to fill.
Mom.
Mother.
Millions.
I remain, of course, an entirely neutral party. I simply thought our family's coffers were needlessly full. We can hardly take them with us on your teeny-tiny toy boat, now can we? And we'd be ashamed to leave all that hard-earned wealth unspent. Waste not.
Aww.
However did you manage so much in so short a time, then? We expected word to reach only a fraction of our allies.
Did I not tell you I have my ways?
Hi!
Erenville, you were involved too.
I received a letter from Cryo after we parted ways in Labyrinthos. She explained what the Scions were trying to accomplish, and why you might soon require the services of the Gleaners, spread across the world as we are. I pray you do not interpret this as a betrayal of Sharlayan. I accept that the Forum's aim in pushing us to our limits was to preserve what knowledge we have, and I bear you no ill will for it. Yet, in collecting that knowledge, what I came to appreciate most about our star is that there remains so much we do not know. That is why I chose to help the Scions, to combat the obliteration of those countless undiscovered wonders. I held no illusions that they would be less demanding taskmasters. Though, rest assured, if I had, I would have been sorely disappointed. To make a long story short, the whole of the guild ship cooperated to ensure your call was heard far and wide.
Oh! Everyone is here!
What's this about a ship that can fly to the moon?
I was wondering when you show up, Sid.
And why didn't you mention it sooner? The one time you don't beg my aid, your problem's a bloody ship that can fly to the moon.
Sid, you brought the team.
Of course. Garland Ironworks' finest. You need only point us towards my new favorite ship.
Even Alpha and Omega. Aw.
Oh, I nearly forgot. We stopped by Whirlwind before coming here and picked up a package from Gaius.
Oh, even Gaius.
He's still of the mind that actions make for better penance than words, contrite or otherwise, so we offer none of the latter. What he sent is an Allegan relic Valens used in his weapons experiments. There's a fair bit of refined adamantite in it, too.
As you like us not suspect, we've also brought adamantite for Mordona's Dalamud shard. I admit to some consternation upon first receiving Kryl's message. So few scions remain at the Rising Stones now. Far too few for such an expedition. However, the Gleaners were able to secure us reinforcements. Idleshire's treasure hunters, not least among them. I know. How the Gobbyflock fought. Slowfix's gratitude for the safe return of his daughter has not waned, and he gathered his kin to our side with an astounding quickness. The clash between their machina and the Allegan defences was a sight to behold. I wager even you would have been impressed by the magnitude of the Gobby-boons.
Fascinating as all this is, I fail to see how it explains your presence here. Does Razat-Han not have more pressing concerns?
We do. Yet averting the final days would be the most expedient solution. That, and I am indebted to you. Though they chose to take their leave of Thavnair, those you saved in Galimund remain my people. My gratitude is beyond words. 'Tis appropriate that I aid you in kind. If in the doing we bring salvation to others of this star, so much the better. You will recall that I spoke of my father, Midgard Summer, and his journey across the great expanse. As he traveled betwixt the stars, his resplendent scales drank of the ether in those nigh empty surrounds, and imparted to him the strength to persevere. Thinking they might further your cause, I called out to my kin for consent. Ashdaya's answer was silence, as ever.
That's the only one of the first brood that we don't know about. So,
Tiamat and Chris-Velgre, however, responded favorably to the suggestion. My sire, too, stirred from his slumber long enough to speak and say, "Very well." Thus have I brought you his own worm scales. Fit them to your purpose, and seek a worthier fate for us all.
You'd be hard-pressed to find someone else so familiar with the unique properties of dragon scales. So I invited myself
Look at me, this is so unbelievable. I've gone right back round to believing it again. Forget a 6% gain in efficiency. With all these goodies, we could get 7, no, 10, no, 14%. Think of how far we could go! What we could do with that much power! What we could blow up!
If Kokol is duly convinced, then it must be true. In which case, the science end of the bargain has been fulfilled. Would you not agree?
Yes, Father?
I know not what you seek of Hydaelyn, nor for what purpose you would take command of our ship. Yet this much is certain. To do so will be to dictate the fate of this star and the lives upon it. The lives of each and every creature, in their magnitude and their fragility. Do you understand? And are you prepared?
We have seen and we have felt how much each life shapes this world. And so we are determined to abandon none. We understand what is at stake, and we are prepared to bear this burden.
Then I will bear it with you.
Aww.
I beg you, share your struggles with me. As family.
Oh.
You grasped my fingers with such tiny hands the day you were born. I thought my heart might burst. 'Twas love and happiness beyond expression. Overwhelming, and a conviction so powerful that I trembled with something close to rage. I had heard the final days foretold. I swore to myself then and there that I would not let them steal your futures. The great Exodus would succeed. Must succeed. No sacrifice or sin was worse than the alternative. If anything gave me pause, 'twas mine own father. The Archon Louisoix openly decried Sharlayan's policies, a perspective which I regarded with increasing disdain as I grew older. Yet even as part of me thought him a fool, perhaps I also hoped that he, of all people, would devise a brilliant means to save my children. A naive hope, but stubborn enough that I could never bring myself to keep you apart. No, that was his doing, when he perished at Cartano, as we pulled that twisted slab of Dalamud from the sea. I remembered the warmth of your newborn touch. Chastened, I vowed never again to suffer any interference in my mission to protect you. No matter that you yourselves wished otherwise. Detest me, fight me tooth and nail, I would suffer it, and more, and be satisfied so long as I could force you onto the ship. I was wrong. You two have grown so much stronger and so much wiser than I dared dream. You have earned the right to walk your own path, and already begun to do so.
Good. Because there are things we care about, and people we love. And none of them is replaceable. Not a one.
It cannot have been an easy journey for you to have come so far.
We shall be glad to acquaint you with the finer details someday, once this danger has passed. All that we have seen and heard, that we have felt and learned in our travels. Ours is not a kind world, but it is beautiful. Always.
Oh no. Are you quite sure that's wise? After all, someone turns pale and flees the room when he sees so much as an envelope containing word of your adventures. Whatever will happen if he learns what you were really up to?
Millions.
Oh.
Though I have wronged my children most gravely, I owe you an apology as well. I assumed that it was the Scion's influence that made them so keen to charge headlong into danger. Yours, in particular. I see now that said influence instead brought them together with the many fine people gathered here today. In which case, I hope you continue to guide them.
If we finish loitering about the harbor, might I suggest we put our plans into motion? People are beginning to look confused.
Oh, Grandpa, we're having a moment.
Perhaps you can spare a few words ere they resume the tedious lugging of cargo. You have no small number of friends and admirers here after all.
Your assistance is appreciated. Now, in an orderly fashion, if you please.
Wow. That was a great cutscene. That was so good in so many ways. God, I feel so conflicted about Endwalker because, like, I kind of hate the plot, but the characterization is so on point. It's so good, and that's what I'm here for. Oh, my throat hurts from directing so many people to Labyrinthos, but that can only prove we got our money's worth. I apologize for not informing you earlier of Arenville's involvement. He was something of a contingency plan. Thank goodness we had him and his fellow gleaners at hand, though. It would have been monstrously difficult to locate Sid and transport the Hanish delegation here otherwise. I had no idea how massive a weight it was until he lifted it off my shoulders. But more importantly, his words were an affirmation that the path we walk is the right one. A part of me might have been satisfied so long as my family and friends survived the final days. But to save the star is what we all want most. And if those same people believe that I can help see it done, who am I to say otherwise? Come what may, I will fight for this world and ours until the very end. I cannot wait to see what our friends from the Ironworks do with the ship. Unaided, we Scions could never have gathered such a bounty. Refined, adamantite, relic, sacred and ancient alike. I find myself quite overcome. If I never see another crate again, it will be too soon. Lee sent a letter along with Gridania's contribution. It seems she traveled there in aid of their adamantite recovery. Evidently, journeying to Gridania was quite the trial, as was getting into the Dalamid Shard, as was reaching its depths. I suspect she will have few kind words to say about the Alligans when next we meet. The time has come to claim our prize. Are you prepared? We finally managed to clear the harbor, which means the rest is in the engineer's capable hands. Meanwhile, Father has issued to us an invitation. As was agreed, he will reveal the means by which Hydaelyn may be contacted. So we are to meet him at Aporia when we're ready. Given the vital knowledge she holds, I suggest we leave without delay. It transpires, however, that the Forum's method of speaking with her is not without risks. I'm curious to hear what those might entail, but regardless, be warned. It's a dungeon! Most of those who arrived with the Adamantite have offered to stay and see to any remaining tasks that need doing. The Forum has already asked for my assistance in overseeing the process, so you needn't worry about a thing. Thank you, Tataru. We're off to Aporia, then. Let's go. I don't want any of you getting hurt, but I do hope you'll wring as much information out of Hydaelyn as you can. For all we know, this is the one and only opportunity we'll get. Mana, I have already shown the others inside. You'll want to speak with Clary Lane. She has the key to the lift and can send you down after me. From here, we proceed to the heart of Labyrinthos and its most closely guarded secret, Thalmuzane. It marks the beginning and end of our efforts, whence we delve to seek audience with the star, and whence we will embark on our journey to the heavens. This way, if you please. I bid you welcome to Thalmuzane. Direct your attention toward its center to behold the ark over which we have long labored. As you can see, it was designed as a medium-sized craft, the better to reduce fuel consumption. Miniaturizing magics have been applied to its interior to ensure that the thrust-to-weight ratio does not place too greatly a limitation on its freight capacity. The Aether Burner, as you know, has been removed for further modification, but we shall reattach it soon enough. I have received word that Kikoi and several of your allies are working on it with an intense fervor. They are sure to see it done. 'Twas by their expertise that many a prior disaster was averted. If anything, I fear they will not afford us much time for speaking with Hydaelyn ere they finish. Point taken. Let us move on. I must warn you again, however, that even with the benefit of our device, to treat with her is not a simple feat. We must learn of Hydaelyn's greater plan. We can only hope that she also knows the current situation of Medion. And we can do neither if we do not focus on whatever the trial awaits us within. Tatsim enchantments most advanced have been woven into the ship's very bones. Wisvan and Bluvita were doubtless called upon for their expertise in teleportation magics. You feel it too, don't you? The ship is impressive, but it pales in comparison to the vast primordial power beneath our feet. It was the Alligans who first combined the mechanical and ethereal sciences into a revolutionary discipline. Given that the ship is nothing short of a technological marvel in that precise vein, Alligan's salvage could suit it well. If meeting Hydaelyn proves difficult even for the Forum, then perhaps Oh, it is an unformed idea at this phase, I'm afraid. I will duly inform you if anything comes of it. I doubt this is what Erenville meant when he said that there remains much we do not know, but I still can't believe everything that was hidden underneath the city this entire time. To think how many generations labored for this end, and that we aim higher still. We must spare no preparation, and that means speaking with Heidelin no matter the cost. I can well imagine the zeal with which they're working on the ether burner, and all I can say is I'm glad we have something to do other than get in their way. Once it's ready, we'll see to it that the ship is put to good use. I have done what I can to impress upon you the gravity of what lies ahead. Are you prepared?